Hi everybody, this is Lee, and with this video I'm talking about the renegotiation of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, that involves three countries, Canada, the United States, and Mexico, and that the original NAFTA was, came into being from 1994, that it was largely the product of the Clinton administration, Bill and Hillary Clinton, who actively lobbied for its passage, its ratification, and that it's created a pretty sizable regional supply chain involving products such as cars, washing machines, and that NAFTA 2.0 is going to develop and modernize possibly in various ways, and that digital commerce is an active part of the negotiation. E-commerce, intellectual property, trade and services, things like this, more so than the 1994 version. And so there is a need to renegotiate. Donald Trump seemed to want to entirely scrap NAFTA, so he said during his campaign. He's been facing circular fire to the point that he's sort of backed down and is open to negotiating instead of opting out entirely. But he's got demands. And so basically that's influenced by his assertion that NAFTA has resulted in the offshoring of hundreds of thousands of U.S. manufacturing jobs and had a negative effect on the United States economy. And so these are some of the issues, and I'll try to touch on some that were in this article, and then I'll post links to other viewpoints on NAFTA, including from farmers, from environmentalists, from various people in the business community. And so basically, the U.S. officials who are involved with negotiating NAFTA are trying to wrap up talks by early next year. So we're in August right now. That means the rest of this year, and then wrapping them up prior to Mexico's elections, which happen in July of 2018. And then certainly United States elections, which take place in November of 2018. They want to get NAFTA out of the way prior to United States and Mexico elections. And we're familiar with the issues in the United States, the corporatization of our United States government, and meaning that we, the people who form the government, are on the verge of being completely overrun and subjugated by multinational corporations. And so this is where we are. And then in Mexico, there's actually a left-wing populist presidential candidate. His name is Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. And that people don't want to negotiate NAFTA with him. They want to negotiate it with the current president. But he is rising in popularity. He's actually leading the race of this left-wing populist. And so that's another reason for the concern about speeding up negotiations surrounding NAFTA. And then in the United States, there's possibly going to be a rebellion in the Congress, and that people are targeting members of Congress for primary, for recall in some instances. And so this is where we are. Anyway, the Trump administration wants to eliminate more than $60 billion in annual trade deficit with Mexico, and that Donald Trump is making that a priority. The auto industry accounts for almost the entire deficit, and so there's concerns on that end in the business community. And that there's a proposition for managed trade, and that Donald Trump, of course, wants a better trade balance, and that he might insist on new restrictions in the form of widespread use of quotas, or more widespread use. in order to get to that point, manage trade. But he also wants to include a vow to defend existing United States laws, federal, state, and local Buy American laws. And so one of the effects of such of these laws has been the blocking of the blocking of use of Canadian steel in U.S. bridges. And so what helps the U.S. position is a detriment to Canada and Mexico. And so, of course, there's a lot of jockeying for the upper hand here. But one of the ways in which they're jockeying is to force Mexico to raise its minimum wage and therefore reduce the cost advantage that business owners have of luring factories out south of the border and away from U.S. communities like the Rust Belt. And so that's one thing. The U.S. also wants to scrap a feature of NAFTA known as Chapter 19, and this is what allows Canada and Mexico to challenge anti-dumping and other trade remedies imposed by the United States. So back and forth, back and forth. There's many pro-trade Republicans who are uncomfortable with some of Donald Trump's demands, and that they're nervous or uncomfortable that the president might again threaten to completely withdraw from NAFTA to opt out, and that there might be a revolt from the Republicans in the Farm Belt or in the business community, the pro-trade business Republicans, corporate Republicans. And so, Donald Trump's been facing circular fire on not necessarily this issue, but so many other issues that he's become less feared than when he first entered office and he could smash the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Can he smash NAFTA? We shall see. I don't make predictions on my channel, but there's so many things going on. If there was a way to strengthen the hand of the United States in terms of benefiting the citizen, the consumer, the worker, the laborer, the environmentalist here in the United States, it would be to be actively engaged in following the negotiations, to know the issues, to be very focused on how Trans-Pacific Partnership provisions might still sneak their way in to NAFTA, and that also not just Trans-Pacific Partnership, but also trade and services, and how that might sneak its way into the negotiation of NAFTA. So we have to be very watchful and pay very close attention to what our U.S. officials and especially our U.S. Congress thinks it has in mind for us, and what will we do after we see what they do in November of 2018. Good luck.